following is a live presentation of CBC Sports.
Just 19 seconds left. And the Mark Messier penalty. Suter plays it in high off the glass. Smith trying to pick it up in the corner. It comes loose to Curry. Curry gets it ahead to Gretzky. Gretzky going in. Suter trying to get back. Gretzky with a shot. He scores!
A goal back in 1988, Wayne Gretzky. I played with the Edmonton Oilers, and in the dressing room after the third period, he said, "I've got one," and he went out there and great shot, top corner.
Tries to send Roberts away. Roberts against Didick. He has Neuendijk with him, but Didick breaks it up. Here's a chance now for Courtnall. Courtnall going in alone. He shoots, scores! Jeff Courtnall has extended the life of the Vancouver Canucks.
That goal kept us alive in the series, and I've talked about it the whole series with our goalie, Kay Whitmore. I told him next time I get a chance down the wing, I was going to shoot it over his glove, and I got the chance in overtime, so it was great to see it go in.
What about the game tonight, Jeff?
Well, again, we're fighting to stay alive. I think tonight's definitely another huge game for us. We've got to play tight defense, no turnovers, and I think we'll have a lot of success.
A member of Vancouver's Lifeline has given the Canucks new life. That goal means there will be a Game 6 in Vancouver tonight. The Flames, another chance to end it. Vancouver with a chance to send it back to Calgary. And here in Vancouver tonight, one of 3 Western Conference quarterfinals, all with the potential of being over. Vancouver fans here at the Pacific Coliseum hoping for a change, that home ice truly will be and an advantage. Now in the 3 games that were played last night, as for home ice, well, the Buffalo Sabres needed 4 overtime periods and a goal by Dave Hannon to finally beat the New Jersey Devils, so they will play a Game 7 tomorrow night. Home ice worked for Buffalo, as it did for Washington, who beat the Pittsburgh Penguins in 6. Home ice didn't work for the Montreal Canadiens, who were beaten by Boston. So those 2 teams, meeting for the 28th time, will play a Game 7 tomorrow night. Now the off-ice officials tonight here at the Pacific Coliseum are from San Jose, and they're not enjoying the game that took place out of town tonight. As we mentioned, all 3 tonight with a chance of being over. The Sharks at Joe Louis Arena, the wing Scott Bowman hoping his Gunners will finally start firing, and they do. This one never in doubt with Chris Osgood in goal. A big first period for Detroit. Just 2:03 in. Sergei Fedorov beats Artur Zerbe from the slot. 1-0 for Detroit. Then on a power play, the Red Wings make it 2-0. Steve Chason's point shot finds the mark. It's 3-0 when Ray Shepherd, after the Sharks fail to clear, nets his second playoff goal from in front. And then to round out the first period scoring, Vyacheslav Kozlov scores his first. 4-0 Detroit after 3 goals in under 2 minutes. The fans at Joe Louis Arena, another sellout crowd of 20,000, loving it. And in the second period, the Red Wings keep on coming. Steve Yzerman makes it 5-0 with his first. Then Alf Dolan broke Chris Osgood's shutout bid, making it 5-1. But Dino Ciccarelli will get going. Here he scores in a breakaway. It's 6-1 for Detroit. A nice move to beat Urbe. Urbe gone in the third. Didn't matter to Ciccarelli, who added another, beating Jimmy Waite, his 5th of the playoffs for Ciccarelli. Chris Osgood and the Detroit Red Wings and their fans like it, the way Detroit got it done tonight. As the Red Wings, as we say, this one never in doubt, beating San Jose by a final of 7-1. Game 7 going at Joe Louis Arena on Saturday night. Elsewhere tonight, an all-homer series so far. The last 4 games all decided by a goal. Toronto at Chicago. The Leafs leading the series 3-2. Doug Gilmour hoping this is the last game ever at the stadium. He's playing tonight, bad leg at all. Took the pregame skate at 14:49. Leafs get on the board on the power play. Mike Gardner deflects Dave Elliot's point shot. His first 1-0 Leafs, who survived the first 10 minutes quite well. That's always a key, and they lead it 1-0 after 2 periods of play, despite being badly outshot. So the Calgary Flames hope to end it here tonight. The Pacific Coliseum fans hope that's not the case, buoyed by the fact that their Vancouver Canucks played very well in games 3 and 4 here, despite coming out with nothing. With their thoughts, now let's go upstairs to Jim Poplinski and Don Whitman.
Thank you, Ken. Hi, everybody. Yes, indeed, the Canucks did play well here in games 3 and 4, Jim, but they didn't get the result they wanted, and the Calgary Flames have to be buoyed by the fact that they have not lost in this building this season. Now, what about strategy in game 6? A lot of people have been talking about plans the two coaches may make for this game.
Well, we hear a lot about chalkboards and video and penalty killing and power play and all those sorts of things through the regular season, but when you get into game 6 and 7 in the playoffs, strategy has got absolutely nothing to do with it. Both coaches on both teams will simply talk about desperation hockey. There's not any more chances for the Vancouver Canucks, and Calgary does not want to go back to the Saddledome and have these guys with any more momentum than they have right now.
While the Vancouver Canucks will certainly have the support of a sold-out building of better than 16,000, but some Calgary Flames were saying they enjoy playing here because the Saddledome is usually so quiet. They enjoy the noise in this building.
Well, sometimes it's easier to play on the road. It forces you to focus more. The Calgary Flames skating around the ice are not looking up in the crowd and all of their adoring fans cheering them. Vancouver might be doing that a little bit, but as a visiting team, it forces you to focus more. You look at what you have to do. That's what the Flames will do. What Vancouver wants to do is get momentum from this crowd, but still play the same disciplined game that they did in game 1 and in game 5.
Except in game 2, the Calgary power play, number 4 during the regular season, has been shut out. Good penalty killing by the Canucks, or has the Calgary power play struggled?
Well, I think it's been a little bit of both. The Vancouver Canucks have done a good job on the Flames power play and taking the shot away from McInnes, but in part 2, Calgary has not done a great job in one-touching it and moving the puck quickly on a power play, and we'll talk about it tonight. You don't want to get into a lot of one-on-one battles. You want to have 2-on-1 or 3-on-2, always outman your opponent, and that gets back to the desperation hockey too. When you've got a power play advantage, you have to work that much harder because you know the 4 guys against you are going to.
If players are superstitious, the Vancouver Canucks have to be happy. Paul Stewart, the referee from game 1, is in charge.
Well, Stewie's excited. Talked to him this morning. He was ready to go out for a little bite of lunch. Saw him doing some of his pre-game antics here a couple of hours ago. He's ready to go too.
Well, the Canucks and the Flames are ready. Game 6 here at the Pacific Coliseum with the national anthem. Let's join the Underground Outlaws
in the singing of "O Canada."
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all license command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free, from far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Well, needless to say, as you obviously can hear, the fans inside the Pacific Coliseum are excited as we get set for the opening face-off in Game 6. Mike Vernon is playing his 80th postseason game on behalf of the Calgary Flames. In Game 4, he put on a goaltending clinic facing 44 Vancouver shots. At the other end of the ice, this is Game 31 consecutively in the postseason for Kirk McLean, but he has not posted a win in the Pacific Coliseum since March the 27th. Paul Stewart, the Game 1 referee, is in charge tonight. Ray Scapanello and Ron Asseltine, who worked Game 5 in Calgary, are the linesman. Mike Magoo is the backup. Ronnie starts for Vancouver. He's out there with Jelena and Momesso, and now Jelena started to the bench and was told to stay out there. Out front for Momesso, and it's fired wide. Roberts chops it along the glass, and it bounces past Brown. Momesso is back to cover up. And we have an injured player. A player is down directly. No, it's Scapanello, the linesman, who went down. Thought it was a player at first, but it was Scapanello. who went down directly in front of the Calgary bench, and very quickly Bearcat Murray came out to look at him.
Well, let's see what hits Mr. Scapanello. A player does. He goes down, falls on his shoulder. Then I think the puck might have dinged him as well. Now, referees, there's been a fair amount of talk in this series after, particularly game 2, when Roberts got 4 penalties for banging into Kirk McLean. I talked to Paul Stewart this morning, and I said, what kind of game are you going to referee? And he said, Pep, he said, as long as the players keep their elbows down, keep their sticks down, and stay on their feet, I'm going to let them do whatever they want to each other. We'll watch and see if Stewie is true to his word. He loves to see a tough game because that's the way he was as a player in the WHA and for a year in the National Hockey League.
Joel Otto, for a second consecutive game, is out of the lineup of the Calgary Flames, and Murray Craven is missing from the lineup of the Vancouver Canucks. Michael Nylander is scratched, and he has been replaced for Calgary by Dan Kesmer. They want the extra defenseman and another potentially big shot from the point on the power play, a power play that is 0 for 19. Here's a shot by Kissio. It deflected wide, and Babbage is able to clear. Picked up by Tim Hunter. Antosky races up in the play, but he's prevented from getting to it by Kesmer. Dahl takes it back of the goal for Calgary. In the neutral zone, Titov can't go anywhere as he's checked by Dana Merzen. Adams starts back with Bure and Linden. This was a very effective unit for Vancouver in game 2. Having Linden out there with Bure caused some problems for Dave King in the shadowing job that he had on Bure in the first 4 games of the series.
Simple thing, nice crisp pass from Dahl, stick to stick. Calgary clears the zone. It's so nice if you're a forward and your defenseman puts it on the tape, you have a lot better chance of getting out of your zone unaccosted.
Linden for Lume coming down the right side, trying to go around Zalapsky. Then Zalapsky takes him in against the boards. Coming back on the right side is Cruz. Zalapsky has the puck, and at this time we say hello to the folks who've been watching the game between Chicago and Toronto. The Maple Leafs leading by a score of 1-0. We've played 2 minutes and 10 seconds of the opening period here at the Pacific Coliseum. Still no score between the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames. I'm Don Whitman along with Jim Poplinski and Ken Daniels at the Pacific Coliseum, and the Canucks 2-1 overtime winners, trying to send it back to Calgary. Here's Fleury moving in, and Fleury is checked. A good recovery by Charbonneau. Reichel loses it behind the net. Hedican is checked by Fleury. Brown took a look, now decided to try and come out the same side and moves it to Courtnall. Courtnall is checked by Roberts, and it's knocked back in offside.
Well, you look at home ice advantage in this series, it hasn't meant a whole heck of a lot. The Calgary Flames have had great success at the Pacific National Coliseum. So far, in 5 meetings, they have not posted an L in the second column that keeps track of wins and losses. Theron Fleury with an opportunity here. He steals it at the blue line. Don't be caught standing still and try and beat a guy that's quick with a stick like Fleury. Fortunately for Charbonneau, Fleury tries to get a little too fancy and he doesn't shoot the puck. Wanted to find some open net. It's a simple game. We talked about desperation hockey at the start of this hockey game, Don, and when you get inside the blue line, you're shooting the puck and looking to pick up rebounds or score on that initial opportunity.
Theron Fleury, the leading scorer for the Flames in the series, 4 goals and 3 assists. Joe Nieuwendyk was injured late in the second period in game 4. But when the series returned to Calgary, he was able to dress. However, Joel Otto, who was injured just seconds after Nieuwendyk went down, has not been able to come back. Dave King still holds out hope that he may be able to play if there should be a 7th game. Wes Walls tried to center. Ronning is checked. Nieuwendyk has it. Back to the point for Musil. All Musil could do was dump it to the corner. Stern takes a hit along the boards. Walls trying to free it for Nieuwendyk is checked and running. Can't move it out. Picked up by Walls. Back to the point. Long shot by McInnes. It's gloved and held by Kirk McLean. 16:26 is the time remaining in a still scoreless opening period.
Center ice, the Stanley Cup. The tradition, the history, the chance to shoot for $1 million or one of over 25,000 official NHL prizes. Peel the sticker inside the case or call for details on entry without purchase. The Molson Canadian Stanley Cup Contest.
No, he missed. No, he didn't.
Take your best shot. Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC is brought to you by Molson Canadian. Take your best shot in the Molson Canadian Score a Million Stanley Cup Contest. By Ford of Canada, where quality is job one. And by Pepsi. Be young, have fun, drink Pepsi.
Referee Paul Stewart has served early notice that he will tolerate no nonsense following a whistle.
Well, Ronning put a bit of a slash on Wes Walls after the whistle. Stewart was in the process of calling that penalty, and Walls tripped him. Calgary lost what would have been the first power play advantage of the hockey game.
Hedican is forced to circle back by Titov. Again, very aggressive forechecking by the Calgary Flames. Now a lead pass for Linden. He had problems controlling it. Linden knocked off the puck as it comes loose at center ice, picked up by Hedican. Hedican and Brown, the two former St. Louis Blues who were acquired at the trade deadline, out there as a defensive pairing for Vancouver. Nieuwendyk, the Calgary captain, starts away on the right side. Dave Babbage fell. Here comes Nieuwendyk against Brown. His shot is high off the glass behind Kirk McLean. Puck is left. Nieuwendyk tried to move out front. Now Linden has it for Courtnall. Courtnall circling in his own zone. Gets away from Nieuwendyk. Dumps it to the corner, and Gary Roberts is back to play it for Calgary. Vancouver making a change with 15:18 remaining in the period. Merzen goes back for an icing call against Calgary.
Well, Don, let's take a look at who's not in the hockey game for the Calgary Flames. Joel Otto's watching down in the Flames dressing room with Dahlquist, Petit, Nylander, Vesa Vidakovsky, and Greg Kozlowski. Vidakovsky has put on a ton of miles in the last couple of days. He went down to help the Flames farm team, left Tuesday on the red eye, flew all the way to St. John, came back this morning with assistant GM Al Coates. He got on the bus to come over to the rink, and the player said, "We haven't seen you around for a while." He said, "I've been back and forth between here and New Brunswick." They didn't believe him. They thought he may have just gone for a walk in Stanley Park. In the playoffs, when there's so much focus on the games, guys can disappear and you don't notice it. The Flames didn't notice Vidakovsky was in the running for most miles in the last 2 days. And Kozlowski is just up after Peoria has finished their season in their particular league. St. Louis's farm team. Kozlowski had been left there since February.
Well, Vidakovsky could not be blamed if he's suffering from jet lag going from one coast to the other. But he is here as insurance for the Calgary Flames. Lume brings it in, but Adams was ahead of the play offside.
Well, in Vancouver, scratches have not got quite the same number of miles in the last couple of days, although each one of these players has been between here and Calgary. Murray Craven still with back spasms, unable to compete in Game 6. Hopefully he's got an opportunity in Game 7. Plavsic, Ojic, Slager, Carson, Brian Glenn, and Mike Pekka. The recent draft pick for the Canucks not in the lineup. Gino Ojic, of course, played at the start of this series. Got a concussion against San Jose towards the end of the regular season, lost 14 pounds, and I would guess that's one of the reasons that he's not right up to the form he would like to be in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Another reason that the Canucks have been able to scratch Ojic is the play of Antoski. Here's Bure moving in. Bure tried to work around Zalapsky, and Zalapsky did an excellent job of preventing him from driving to the net. Zalapsky has still to take a penalty in this series. That's a rather interesting statistic in view of the assignment he has had, doing a shadowing job on occasion on Pavel Bure. You'd think he might get tangled up with the 60-goal scorer, particularly on a play such as the one we just witnessed.
Well, that's an astute observation. When you've got a guy that has the speed of Bure over 5 or 6 games, you would guess that he would at least compromise you once or twice, and you'd have to go outside the rules to stop him. But that has not happened with Zalapsky. He's a great skater, and that's why Dave King has had him on Bure, and that's also the reason that Zalapsky's not had to compromise himself.
McCarthy, long shot wide. Kesmer from the point lets a shot go that was knocked down in front of the net, and Hunter starts back with Memesso and did it. Memesso flips it in. Vernon will play it in the corner, trying to get it up high in the glass and out. It's cut off by Ronning. Ronning now goes to the bench as the Canucks send out McIntyre in his place. Calgary makes a complete change with 13-13 remaining in a still scoreless opening period. And Toski chipped it in, but it's fired right back out. Now Walls tried to free it for Nieuwendyk. It was broken up at the line by Hunter. McInnes goes back. He's being watched by Antoski. Now McIntyre takes up the forechecking chase, but Nieuwendyk brings it out. Going back after it is Hedeken. Hedeken trying to get away from Walls. Walls does a pretty good job of tying him up along the wall. Now Antoski trying to kick it. Al McInnes manages to come up with the puck, and Nieuwendyk circles for Calgary. 12:30 remaining in the opening period. It's scoreless here at the Pacific Coliseum. How important is the first goal of the hockey game in this series? Well, the team that has scored first has won every game. Patrick can't get away from a check. Courtnall just failed to knock it past Zalapsky, or he was in home free from the blue line. Brown moves it ahead. Here's Lafayette. Lafayette working against Patrick. A backhand shot that goes high. It's left for Patrick behind the net. He's checked by Courtnall. Now it's knocked ahead by Reichel. Reichel is checked. Pass for Courtnall with Bure. Courtnall lets the shot go up high on Mike Vernon, and that's the first shot on goal for the Canucks. Courtnall looked back to the point, saw it was covered, flipped it back to the net. Bure has it to Lume. Lume shoots up high. The rebound at the side of the net. Courtnall's got it. He shoots. Saved by Vernon, and he covers up on the loose puck. What a great scoring opportunity for Jeff Courtnall as he walked out from the corner, but Vernon was equal to the task.
I'm here to shine some light on a brilliant new idea. An idea called WindStar. An illuminating new approach to the minivan with more comfort, more room, all kinds of bright ideas, including standard dual airbags and ABS. The new WindStar leaves everything else in its shadow.
Hi there, I'm Bruce Steele, host of What on Earth, seen every day on CBC television. Some wonderful people show up at this table for every program. That's right, over the years, everyone from Lauren Hutton and Ian Thomas to a woman who wins contests for a living. But mostly we specialize in information that's useful to you. Yep, useful TV and less filling. Less filling, but tastes great. Less filling, tastes great. Less filling. Stop, you're both right. It's two shows in one.
Well, Vancouver with good pressure here. Courtnall with the presence of mind to come out in front. Fleury follows the puck a little bit, bats it out of the way, and gets caught behind Roberts. All of a sudden, Courtnall is in all alone. Mike Vernon had the lunge on the puck. He was happy that he felt it in his glove and was able to freeze it.
Vernon was busiest in this series in Game 4 here at the Pacific Coliseum. He made 44 saves, many of them of the acrobatic variety to provide Calgary with the win. They scored! Did it from the point!
we talked about big face-offs throughout the series, Don, and we've also mentioned shooting the puck. Diddick here simply puts this one on the net. It comes through a bit of a crowd. Vernon tries to catch it with his glove. This angle will show it perfectly. As Nieuwendyk takes Linden off the draw, did his job taking his man. Linden's leg perhaps provided a screen for a fraction of a second. And Vernon's glove hand just missed the shot. You talked about the first goal. Ron McLean mentioned it. The Chicago-Toronto series where the team that scored the first goal has won their respective games. It's been the same thing here. Will that trend continue for Game 6 in both series?
Diddick with his first goal of the postseason. He has had assists in 4 of the previous 5. And he shares the Vancouver scoring lead with Jeff Courtnall, each with 5 points. 10:54 remaining in the opening period. Gerald Diddick staking Vancouver to the 1-0 lead.
Well, these are big goals for guys like Diddick. They don't typically get a whole bunch of recognition for the games they've played. Babbage, Diddick, Merzen, we've discussed their contribution throughout this series. All of a sudden, the puck goes through, and although these kinds of players have been doing that throughout their careers, boy, it's a great pat on the back or shot in the arm when they get rewarded with a goal every once in a while. And this one is a big one for the Canucks and for Gerald Diddick. Well, Vancouver waited until 8:15 before they got a shot on net. Now they have 5 only a couple of minutes later.
Trevor Linden draws the assist on the Diddick goal at 8:38. Roberts with a slap shot. McLean leaves it at the side of the net for Hedican. Hunter ahead to Antoski. Antoski trying to get past Musil. And Musil knocks him down at the line, and it's brought in offside. 10:30 is the time remaining in the first period.
Introducing the Quantum Random Orbit Sander. It's tough enough to tackle any project from start to finish. Plus, it's backed by a 3-year warranty. The new Quantum line, only from Black & Decker.
The next 649 jackpot is estimated at a colossal $6 million.
For the first time, there's a saw that combines dust collection, an auto brake, and a powerful 3-year warranty. So there's no limit to what you can build. Introducing the Quantum Circular Saw, new from Black & Decker.
1-0 Vancouver leads, and Jim, I don't think you can ever stress too much the importance of winning a faceoff.
Well, some little plays. You see Bure do a good job on Gary Roberts to stop Roberts from getting out to the point. It makes it a long way for Walls to come across. Nieuwendyk did his job in staying with Linden. Even when you do all the right things after you miss a faceoff, sometimes the opposition scores. Diddick perfect at getting the puck on net.
Brown lead pass for Bure. That would have been offside had Bure touched it, as he was already across the Calgary blue line. Mike Sullivan lets a long shot go wide of the net. Cruz in the corner, checked by Linden. Hedican will flip it out the other way, and Brown will try and get it down the ice, intended for Bure. A race for the puck. Who gets there first? Bure managed to take the icing call off in racing against Sullivan. Over on the point, Hedican couldn't cut off the clearing attempt. Brown moves it ahead to Linden. Linden with some room down the right side. Now he's cut off by Zalapski. Puck goes back to the net. Vernon played it around for Cruz. Cruz took a hit from Bure, but back comes Titov. Patrick drives for the net, but Titov is checked along the boards by Merzen and can't get the puck to him. Now Cruz has it back of the goal. The puck is loose. Walls tried to slip it to the point. It was intercepted by Pavel Bure. Lume starts up. His best game of the playoffs was in Game 5 in Calgary. Right in front of the net. Lume went racing after the loose puck after Lafayette had moved in, and the Flames dump it down the ice. Picked up now by Lume. Lume more involved in the rush to Charbonneau. A long shot gloved by Vernon, and then Vernon will flip it into the neutral zone. 8:44 remaining in the first period. 1-0. The Vancouver Canucks lead on the goal by Gerald Diduck. Nieuwendyk trying to pick up the puck at center ice is checked. Diduck moves it ahead to Courtnall with Ronning. Courtnall's shoot him. Played out by Vernon, and Vernon got tangled up and spun around as the puck went up ice. Now Menesso races in, and again Vernon plays it at the side of the net. Again, good early pressure in this game by the Vancouver Canucks. The first period in this playoff round has not been a good period for the Canucks. They have been dominant in the second period of every game. Brown with a long shot kicked out by Vernon. But tonight they came out with guns blazing from the opening whistle.
Well, momentum, Don, and you can't stress that enough. Vancouver has it and has had it since the start of this hockey game.
Hey, this new Pepsi Max is really something, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it tastes of regular cola and a third of the calories.
I'll grab that for a second.
Yeah, sure. What are you doing? I want to see if they filled it up a third.
Can't you just enjoy the taste
It's
without...
the only way to explain this calorie thing.
You're not going to open it, are you?
Oh, don't worry. You see, the lower pressure created by the chilling will keep the expansionary forces of the carbon dioxide at bay.
Who's going to open it?
It's elementary.
New Pepsi Max.
Oh, jeez.
All the taste, 1/3 the calories.
Well, 8.5 minutes into the first period, the Calgary Flames were ahead in shots 1-0. 5 minutes later, Vancouver is ahead 8-2 in shots, leading the game 1-0.
Theron Fleury looking for Roberts as he threw it up to the blue line. It bounced beyond Roberts. He goes to the bench in a change again. Brown looking for that long lead pass. He tried to hit Linden. It was beyond his reach. Now Brown will have to chase it down again in his own zone. Being watched by Titov. Brown finds some room on the right side for Linden. Over to Hedican. Getting set. Taken off the puck by Patrick as it goes loose in the corner. And finally, it's tied up against the boards for a face-off with 7:04 remaining in the first period.
Well, Dave King happy to have his team go back to the way they played in games 2, 3, and 4. King was a real proponent of video and a lot of instruction and long practices a year ago at this time, and he's changed that strategy somewhat. Not quite the length of practices that the Calgary Flames had a year ago, preferring to give players a little bit more rest, shorter practices with higher intensity, and a little bit less video, particularly in preparation for the playoffs.
I think the emotions of Vancouver hockey fans have been riding a bit of a roller coaster prior to the series getting underway. There were tickets available for the first 2 games to be played in Vancouver. Then the Canucks won game 1, and suddenly all the tickets for games 3 and 4 went on sale. Then when the Canucks were down 3-1 and went back to Calgary, there were about 3,000 tickets available for tonight's game. As soon as they won back in Calgary, they were gobbled up here at the Pacific Coliseum in a hurry.
Well, if you look at the way the media has treated Vancouver as well, Don, boy, they've been really hard on them. A number of things that will raise the pride level in Vancouver and the Canucks. And definitely in this playoff series, this team has had a complete transformation from the way it carried itself throughout 84 games in the regular season.
Menesso tries to chip it around McInnes. McInnes got a stick up to slow him down a bit. The puck goes to the corner, and the Canucks make a complete change. Yanni shoots it in. Bounced away from McLean, and Kissio almost got it in the corner. Then he does get it as he takes a solid hit from Antoski. Hunter trying to get it out. A race for the puck, and Dahl is back after it, and then he's bumped by Antoski. Something Quinn has been very pleased about with Antoski is the way he has been able to control himself. He has not taken any foolish penalties. Here's McCarthy with a shot from a bad angle. The loose puck gobbled up by Diddick. 5:18 remaining in this opening period. Hunter races after the shoot-in. He can't keep it in against Kesmer as it's flipped out to center. Courtnall circles away from a check, and then Courtnall goes down. There's going to be a penalty. Courtnall was slashed, and he's hurt as he skates off to the Vancouver bench. So the Vancouver Canucks will have the first power play with 5:03 remaining in the period.
Kellogg's presents Heads Up Hockey with Brett Hull.
Hi, I'm Brett Hull. Today we're going to talk about the importance of your equipment. You have to take responsibility for your gear, making sure it fits right and is kept in good working order.
Nothing tastes better than Grandma's banana nut bread. That's why we're proud to admit that new Kellogg's Banana Nut Mueslix was inspired by Grandma's recipe. With crispy whole wheat flakes, crunchy granola, chopped walnuts, and the delicious taste of banana. Don't be surprised if it reminds you of her recipe. Try new Kellogg's Banana Nut Mueslix, because only Kellogg's tastes like Grandma's recipe.
Proper fitting pads and a helmet are essential to preventing injuries on the ice. Keeping your skates sharp and having a proper stick will give you the tools needed to do the best for your team.
Heads Up Hockey, presented by Kellogg's.
Well, you could call this penalty by listening or watching, where Kissio slashes Courtnall right on the joint of the elbow. An elbow pad has got a piece of pad that runs, and it's kind of hard right where the bone is. Reach over across and feel your other elbow, and it's all bone. It hurts when you get slashed there, as Courtnall was found out, and Kissio did by going to the box.
Linden and Bure were unsure of who should handle the puck, and neither was able to get it back to the point. Here's Patrick with a shot going wide. As he jumped up into the rush, now a chance for Bure. Bure takes the lead. He shoots in the post. Linden fed him perfectly, and Bure rattled one off the post. Patrick now clears with 1:25 remaining in the penalty to Kissio. Again, it's Bure, but it's offside.
We want to make it perfectly clear. You'll find guaranteed low prices at your Canadian Tire store every day. If you find a better price anywhere, we'll match it. Guaranteed.
Bure with a slap shot after a perfect feed from Linden. Zalapski just a hair behind him, but even though Zalapski was behind, he's such a strong skater. He caught up and put the stick on Bure. Bure still managed to get the shot away. One of the risks when you're 5-on-4, Calgary just previous to that had a great scoring opportunity that Fleury had set up, threw it across to Patrick. And with the quick break, Vancouver took a scoring opportunity down to the other end of the rink.
Vernon got fooled on the shoot-in by Lume, and he almost went down and out of the play. Lume at the point, into Brown, back to Lume. This is an adjustment that Vancouver has made. They've got Brown and Lume playing the points rather than Brown and Bure as they did in the first 4 games of the series.
Well, and both teams have had a tremendous amount of difficulty on the power play. Very similar in ranking, and obviously they would have had the same success penalty killing.
Ronning drops it back to Lume. Over to Bure. Bure getting set, looking to Brown. Shot right on. Back to the net. Bure picks it up. Jelena goes to the front of the net. Bure lets the shot go through traffic, and Vernon made the save. Jelena taking up a position just outside the crease in front of Vernon.
Well, Vancouver has simplified their game very well. Tonight they did it in Game 5 as well. When they have an opportunity to shoot, even when they have the man advantage, they are putting pucks at Mike Vernon.
Well, obviously Courtnall is okay. He's out there now. Here's Diddick. Rolling puck and it went high over the glass, sent out of play with 2 seconds remaining in the penalty to Kissio.
Well, Pat Quinn wasn't coming up with much else other than it's a bottom line business now. You know that if you don't win, you don't play anymore. There's no magic to anything that he will say. And other than having some tremendous experience, the guys are the people that will make the difference in the game.
Well, just in the background there, now you see him, Arthur Griffiths, the president of the Vancouver Canucks, the owner of this franchise, and he was a jubilant individual over in New York on Tuesday night when his Canucks won Game 5, and then even happier, I guess, yesterday when he was awarded an NBA franchise for Vancouver, and he'll be joining Ken Daniels in our first intermission. Patrick tried to shoot it in. It hit a body at the blue line. 2:42 remaining in the period. And as it's dumped to the corner, the whistle goes as Roberts and Hunter had bumped briefly at the blue line, but they skate away from each other. Jim, it's always interesting watching players before a game. They're at the rink about 5 o'clock for a 7:30 game. Here at the Pacific Coliseum outside their dressing room, half a dozen players from each side throwing a football around. Not to each other, of course.
Yeah, that's right. We'll play touch until the game starts. A soccer ball used to be a great thing to carry around in your hockey bag, but here at the P&E they stopped that because guys were kicking them, and some people that weren't quite as experienced with soccer balls were catching lights and breaking them, so footballs are the order of the day. It's a great way to kill time, and particularly in the playoffs when you're not quite as eager to lay down and have a rest. There's more time to kill. You think it's constructive, but it's just burning off nervous energy.
And Toski flipped it in. He tried to go in after it and was cut off by McInnes. And then Toski is down and slow and getting back up. Now, McIntyre and Vernon had a confrontation. Paul Stewart was right there, but didn't blow a whistle.
Well, Vernon trying to draw some attention to McIntyre, who has done a good job in being in his face by going out and challenging McIntyre. Vernon makes sure that Stewart knows that he doesn't appreciate it. And perhaps if McIntyre gets close again, Stewart may be watching and give Calgary an edge with a power play call.
10-3, the shots on goal with the Canucks leading 1-0. Cliff Ronning tried to slip it to the corner, but was prevented from going after it by James Patrick. Nieuwendyk starts back for Calgary. He has Walls out there with him now as Walls jumped in the ice. He has scored 2 goals in the playoffs. Ronning chopped it along the boards. Dahl gloved it ahead, then was hit by Momesso. And Dahl manages to retaliate and put a bump on Momesso, and Momesso gives him another shot. And then the Calgary player is knocked down in the neutral zone. That's Stern who's looking at his face, and Momesso is going to get a penalty.
Well, if you think back to Game 1 when Vancouver got a penalty, they went straight to the box without questioning it. Momesso has done that, as did Ronning on the first Vancouver penalty. Momesso went too far here as there was lots of bumping on Dahl. And as Stern went by, the high stick caught Stern. Watches it, goes up, and Stern comes by right here, gets the stick. No question that one was accidental. There aren't very many accidents in the game, but that was a good example of one that was. Nonetheless, I like that rule because you have to be in control of your stick. It forces a guy that's carrying what is commonly referred to as a weapon now to keep it out of the face and harm's way of other players on the ice.
Well, being in control of your stick and the hitting from behind, 2 infractions that can really cause serious injury.
No question, the terrible tragedy in Saskatchewan a few weeks ago. A young boy that ran into the boards and had a tragic result with a broken neck.
John Milliken from Calgary, and a big fundraiser is planned in Calgary on the 13th of May. And I understand already 800 tickets have been sold. A number of the Flame players have gone to visit John in hospital, and a number have made financial contributions, the largest from Joe Nieuwendyk to help him get back on track. We're into the final minute as Al McInnes moves out slowly ahead to Kesmer. Kesmer flipped it over for Nieuwendyk. Nieuwendyk bumps with Merzen. Puck loose in the corner. Merzen trying to tie up Nieuwendyk. Puck comes back to the point to Kesmer. Kesmer can't do anything against the checking of McIntyre, but flip it to the corner. Fleury has it back to Kesmer. His shot kicked out. Kesmer at the point trying to get it again. He had problems with the bouncing puck, and it is flipped out by Linden. 22 seconds remaining in the period.
Well, Kesmer in the lineup tonight replacing Michael Nylander. Kesmer did a great job in looking after the absence of Gary Suter when he was with the Calgary Flames. Came over from Hartford and teamed up with Al McInnes to do an outstanding job for the Flames power play in the regular season.
McInnes over to Zalapski to Fleury. Fleury shoots, he scores! The green light is on. And this one may be reviewed because time has expired. The green light is on, and normally, if the green light is on, the red light can't come on, but it doesn't appear as though they're going to review it, or are they?
Well, Paul Stewart is waving to the Canucks. Don't even bother coming over here. He's not going to speak to Trevor Linden. No, now he is. Now, Paul Stewart told me this morning as well. He said, I love to have conversations with the players. Take a look at the clock. But those conversations, he said, are one way. He doesn't want to be pestered. There's the clock as it winds down. Boy, Stewart is right on the mark. He's got perfect position. You can see that there is only a fraction of a second on the clock, 0.3 of a second. And if anybody ever argued that the clock should not count down in tenths, there's an example of why it should. Stewart clearly makes the right call with perfect position, but in a difficult circumstance.
So with the seconds ticking away and only 0.3 remaining, Calgary ties it. Arthur Griffiths will be joining Ken.
8 minutes of play. Joining me in our intermission studio, the Vice Chairman and Governor of the Vancouver Canucks, Arthur Griffiths. 2 nights back, Arthur, Jeff Courtnall scores in overtime. The next day you have an NBA team. Not bad for a daily double.
Well, it's been quite an ordeal for the team as well as for the city of Vancouver to come forward and be in a position to have a basketball franchise in the NBA.
Now, what's next for you? Is it the real work begins now? You have to hire the people. When can we expect all this to happen?
We're hoping to have someone in place by the middle to the end of the summer. One of the problems with the decision for that is that a lot of the good people and a lot of the best candidates for the job are currently working for NBA franchises.
Now, we know the name won't be Mounties. What might it be? How are you going to decide on that?
Well, we've gone to the NBA, and they're one of the best leagues in the world at determining how to market and merchandise. So we've used the NBA resources. We're using them to help us select a name, but also to test market in our city as well as across North America what might be acceptable.
Now, I guess one of the conditions is you have to have 15,000 season ticket holders by the end of December. How does that work? Can you do it in packages where maybe they take 20 games? Is that how it works? 15,000 seems like a lot.
15,000 is an awful lot, but you know, I think that you can see when you look across the NBA itself, but also even in the NHL, there are many cities that do have that many. The problem with it is that you can, or the opportunity is you can package, and right now we're at about 8,200 or 8,300 seats. So,
what about the entertainment dollar in the city of Vancouver with the Canucks and the new NBA team? How far can it be stretched?
Well, there's 2 million people here. There are many cities in North America that have 2 and even 3 sports franchises in their city, and they can support it. But the one thing about this city is that it's growing rapidly. It has a strong base, and I think there's an awful lot of people out there, you know, our research even tells us this, that do not follow hockey. So from our perspective, that's a market that we're going to go after.
You know what? They love the Vancouver Molson Indy out here. 160,000 record last year. Ticket sales already up 12% for this year. But you go into a new building in a couple of years where the basketball team will play. The Vancouver Canucks will be going there. How important is it for you to have a guy like Pavel Bure signed up to a long-term deal to deliver to the corporate holders of players such as that stature?
For the Canuck fans, it's very important, and there's no question about that. I was hoping you'd ask me a question about Pavel's contract, but the fact of the matter is it's very important for the fans and for the franchise, and we're going to do everything we can to make him happen.
Well, Arthur, I know with Toronto in the NBA, you give it an East-West flavor now, and it's terrific, and best of luck with it all.
Thank you very much.
Arthur Griffiths, thanks to Arthur for joining us, and coming up next, we'll update action from the Chicago Stadium, where the Leafs are holding a 1-0 lead on the Blackhawks late in the third period. 1-1 in Vancouver after 20, 1-0 Leafs in Chicago nearing the end of 60. Let's go there live. Here are Harry and Bob.
And hello to you people who have been watching the first period, Calgary at Vancouver, and a 1-1 tie out there. This is Bob Cole at the Chicago Stadium. Alongside is Harry Neal. We have 1:57 seconds remaining in regulation time, and Darryl Sutter knows time is running out. The only goal of the game came at 14:49 of the first period on a Leaf power play. Gardner standing in front of the net, tipped in a Dave Ellett shot. Mironov also drew an assist. Now the shots in the game, the Blackhawks out shooting Toronto in the first 13-6, in the second 11-8, and here in the third it's 4-3 Toronto. We have a pair of penalties handed out here, and 1:57 remaining in regulation time. And a dog-tired, I think, Harry, Chicago team. Boy, it's been a hard battle. They didn't score in Game 5 at Toronto, and unable to get one here tonight. The total shots 27-18 in favor of Chicago, but that's been the story. Felix Potvin and the checking of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, Felix is gone now. 63 seconds short of 120 minutes, not giving a goal up. Superb goaltending. Potvin and Belfour have put a goaltending clinic on.
The Chicago players on the ice, they're 4-on-4 now with the 2 penalties handed out here, minor penalties. 1:57 remaining. Chicago have Roenick and Amonte, Suter and Chelios. The Leafs have Zezel. On the face-off, got the draw. Rouse against Roenick. Here's Amonte around the net. Tries to shake by Lefebvre. He's given a bump by Lefebvre, and Bird gets it off the boards and out. 1:40 remaining. Suter forced to go all the way back by Peter Zezel. 1-0 Toronto. Here's Suter. And now Amonte. Backhands it in. Down the net for Potvin to stop it. Suter can't stop it. It'll slide down to Belfour. 1:24 left. Chelios. He slams it in. There's Potvin out of the net. And here comes Belfour out of the net. The net is empty down there. Belfour is on the bench. The Blackhawks have the extra man, so they're putting out all the stops now. It went over the boards at the Leaf bench and hit a player.
We'll keep you up to date on what's happening in Chicago. The Leafs still leading the Hawks 1-0. Here in Vancouver, it's 1-1. The Canucks and Flames after one. Back with more in a moment.
It's one of sport's ultimate achievements, having a place with the elite. The new Hockey Hall of Fame honors almost 300 of the game's greatest contributors. Throughout the postseason, we present many of them on Hockey's Great Wall. It's brought to you by Ford of Canada, a proud founding sponsor of the Hockey Hall of Fame and makers of the 1995 WinStar. Tonight, a man known for his ability and durability, Blackhawk legend Pierre Pilote, next.
I'm here to shine some light on a brilliant new idea. An idea called WinStar. An illuminating new approach to the minivan with more comfort, more room, all kinds of bright ideas, including standard dual airbags and ABS. The new WinStar leaves everything else in its shadow.
Pierre Pilote was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1975. He joined the Blackhawks in 1956 and for the next 5 seasons firmly established his place in the league without missing a game. During his career, he made 8 consecutive trips to the All-Star podium. During that time, he was also anointed on 3 consecutive occasions with the Norris Trophy. During his tenure in Chicago, he recorded 559 points and played on the last Chicago Stanley Cup team in 1961. His final season was played for the Leafs in Toronto. Tonight, we're proud to focus on Pierre Palat, on hockey's Great Wall. It's presented by Ford of Canada, makers of the 1995 WinStar.
Over the Chicago Blackhawks as they take the series 4-2. Consecutive shutouts posted by Felix Potvin, and the Leafs have moved on to the semifinals in the Western Conference. Their opponent still to be determined.
This portion of Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC was brought to you in part by Ford of Canada, where quality is job one.
Well, another look at the shot that resulted in a Gary Roberts goal. The key, the time in the right-hand corner of your screen. I thought tenths of a second only mattered in ski racing and auto racing. Oh, and the Calgary Flames, those are big tenths as well. Gary Roberts right on the line of the crease. He learned his lesson after 4 penalties in game 2. Didn't wander inside the crease, but a deflection at the perfect point ties the game for Calgary. Calgary was losing steam. Vancouver dominated the last 3 quarters of the opening period. A great time goal for the Calgary Flames.
Jim Gregory, the vice president of hockey operations, said in the final 10 seconds of a period, the linesman, one of them, watches the clock and counts down the seconds. The referee, of course, is watching to see whether or not a goal is scored, and if there was any dispute when he skated over to the timekeeper's box, the video replay official would have already sent a message down. Here's a steal by Reichel. He feeds in front for Fleury. Fleury was checked by Lume and couldn't get a shot. Lume, being watched by Reichel, decides to flip it high, and it goes out of play. Gerald Diddick opened the scoring at 8:38 as Trevor Linden won the draw in the Calgary zone, and then on the power play with 0.3 of a second remaining, Gary Roberts was able to tip in the shot from Fleury from a bad angle, and it's the first power play goal for the Calgary Flames in their last 20 chances.
And only the second game that they've had a power play goal in the 5 1/3 periods that we've played. A big one. Once again, boy, timing is everything.
Greg Adams leaves it for Brown. Brown is then checked. Adams picks the puck up again. Adams tries to work through. James Patrick does an effective job of tying him up as they take the puck to the corner and they hold it against the boards for a face-off. Coach Dave King was talking about James Patrick. He said he's very steady. He said that every defenseman who goes out and is paired with the veteran Patrick feels very confident that his defensive partner is going to do the job.
Well, Patrick's a player that you may not notice a whole lot, particularly at this stage of his career, but that means that he's doing his job. That first pass in your end of the rink is very, very key. We've seen it a few times both ways tonight. Patrick rarely misses with a tape-to-tape. Just watch him. You don't see him hammering around the boards a lot. Makes a move here or there. A nice direct pass that allows your forwards to clear the zone and get the puck out of harm's way.
Patrick leaves it back to the net for Zalapsky. Zalapsky was able to push it ahead to Titov. Then he's checked. But Cruz following up, gets to the line, leaves it there for Patrick. He flips a shot towards the goal, and it's caught and held by Kirk McLean.
Tomorrow night, the tradition continues. Coast to coast, Game 7, Montreal at Boston. 4:30 Pacific, 5:30 Mountain Time, the 28th time these two teams have met, the 5th time they're going to Game 7. If necessary, we'll have Game 7 Saturday night, the Canucks and Flames, 5 Pacific, 6 Mountain Time.
Well, you look at Patrick Roy and you see how important it is for goaltenders. A .967 save percentage. 11 goalies out of 16 in the playoffs this year stopped more than 90% of the shots they've faced so far. And that's why their teams are still playing.
10 shutouts already this playoff year. The record is 12. Puck is loose at the side of the net. Adams flipped it ahead for Didick. Didick trying to go for the goal, but he's cut off by Zalapski. We've played 2 minutes of this second period. A 1-1 tie, the Flames and the Canucks. Game 6 of this quarterfinal series. If there's a 7th game required, it will take place on Saturday in Vancouver. Merzen tried to push it ahead for, in Calgary, I should say. Merzen tried to push it ahead for Courtnall, but it was broken up by the Flames with 17:46 remaining in the second period in a 1-1 tie.
For those who like to spend lots of time and effort cleaning, shining, and protecting your tires, this is going to be difficult to watch. Because with no-touch tire care, you don't need to rub or wipe your tires to make them look great. It's true. You just spray it on and leave it alone. No touching. Now, we know it's hard, but you've got to fight it. Come on, you can do it. That's good. No-touch tire care. The right time.
Otherwise, of course, here's Courtnall for Lafayette. He shoots, and Vernon gloves it. Time in postseason action in Game 5, and the native of New Westminster would have dearly loved to blink the light behind Vernon here at the Pacific Coliseum.
Well, Pat Quinn was very happy with his play in Game 5. Said he had no hesitation at all in putting him in when Murray Craven went down with back spasms. And with the way he played, he was quite happy to insert him into the lineup for game number 6 as well. Ron Stern has been a real force for the Calgary Flames. Combined at times with Kissio and Cruz, he's been very, very aggressive. Cruz and Stern, great speed. They have an ability to fight through the interference, as does Joe Nieuwendyk, and that's something that is crucial, particularly as you get to 6 and 7 games and referees don't call quite as much as the start of a series.
Puck bounced away from Courtnall. Brown with the puck up on edge, fired it off the end boards, and it's frozen against the net by Mike Vernon. 17-16, the time remaining in the second period in a 1-1 hockey game. And we now say hello to viewers all across the country from the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver. I'm Don Whitman along with Jim Poplinski and Ken Daniels. Didick and Roberts have scored in a 1-1 hockey game. Didick scoring at 8:38 of the opening period for Vancouver. And with just 0.3 of a second remaining in the first period, and Calgary on a power play, Gary Roberts was able to deflect a shot by Theron Fleury, and that's where we stand. 1-1, 11-5. The Canucks with the edge in shots on goal. A capacity crowd at the Pacific Coliseum watching this 6th game of the series. All 3 games played here in Vancouver have been sellouts. Nieuwendyk Starts away. He has some company with him. Walls going for the net, but Lafayette did a good job of getting back to prevent Nieuwendyk from centering. Wrap-around attempt, and Stern takes a hit at the side of the net. Moosel's shot is wide of the goal. Hedekin got tangled up with referee Stewart. Stolen by Nieuwendyk. His shot is right on, and now Charbonneau banks it off the glass and out. Back after it is Moosel, and this is an icing call against Vancouver.
Well, the goaltending has been absolutely outstanding in the playoffs so far this year. Kirk McLean has had a shutout. Look at these numbers. 10 in the first round alone. The record in the entire history of the Stanley Cup playoffs was in 1992, where we had 12. If you look at the goaltending percentages, just listen to some of these numbers. Mike Richter, his average right now is .75. His save percentage, 96.7%. Hasek is under 2 at 95%. There's 5 goalies that have a goals against average under 2 in the playoffs, and 11 that have stopped more than 90% of the shots they've faced so far.
The only year where goaltenders did not register a shutout was 1959. Kissio flips it to the corner. Back after it goes Diddick.
Did you read that or watch it, Don?
I happened to check up the statistics, but you know, that was an interesting playoff year, 1959 as well.
Year before I was born, Don.
Back to the net goes Babbage. Calgary can't go anywhere with it, and Babbage retreats again. Kesmer is in forechecking. Babbage gets away from him. Ahead to Ronnie. He couldn't control it. And Dahl moves it ahead to Reichel. He can't go anywhere with it. It's stolen by Kesmer. Kesmer will bank it in. Fleury races to the corner. McLean gets there first to play it away from him. 15:36 remaining in the period. 1-1 the score. Calgary looking to end the series tonight at the Pacific Coliseum. Merzen now flips it in. Fleury is back to gather it up. Rink-wide pass cut off neatly by Lume. It was intended for Roberts.
Well, those rink-wide passes really scare me. Both teams have done it a little bit too much tonight.
Moving in is Reichel, and he fires it wide. He's still looking for his first goal of the postseason. Fleury has it. Fleury takes a shot. It was blocked in front, and Merzen flips it down the ice. And while the Vancouver Canucks dominated for most of the opening period, the Calgary Flames have picked up the tempo of their game in this second period.
Once again, momentum shifting. Reichel very, very strong on the puck. Merzen, who's no slouch himself, was strong on Reichel, and Reichel still managed to get a good shot away.
It's an absolutely spectacular day on the West Coast, and forecasters are calling for more of the same tomorrow, but the Vancouver Canucks hope that they'll be boarding an airplane and heading to Calgary tomorrow for a 7th game in this series on Saturday night.
Well, the Flames will be on a charter right after the game to get back to Calgary. Teams at this stage start to look at who they might play and get concerned when the other guys are resting. The key is not to look too far forward and get yourself out of the series before you get concerned with who has already done that job.
Brown trying to cut off Nieuwendyk. Nieuwendyk plays it to the other corner to Stern, who tried to get it back to the captain. Sullivan pinches in. Nieuwendyk and Brown continue the battle behind the net. Puck comes out front. Sullivan couldn't get a shot, and Linden skates out. He has Bure with him along with Hedekin. Linden gets to the line, has to dump it behind the net. Vernon stops it there for McInnes. Sullivan, whose role in the series has been shadowing Pavel Bure, is out there with Stern. Stern's shot right on, and McLean kicks that one back to the net. Now it's Walls into the corner for Titov. Titov tied up by Linden. Walls comes in to help out. A wrap-around attempt. The puck right out in front, and Walls couldn't get a shot. Titov has it again, trying to jam it from the side of the net, and it winds up on the mesh at the back of the Vancouver net.
I don't think Wes Walz is necessarily injured. I think he's asking himself, how did I miss that? Walz has got a great set of hands. It looked to me from this vantage point like he had nothing but net as the puck zipped around. Look at, he does in fact caught the side of the net, I think, and Walz had to go through that one again in his mind. McLean was on his way over, but Walz, who can put the puck in a hole just slightly bigger than the 3.5 inches the puck is, missed a space much, much bigger than that.
Dave King was saying that one of the reasons the Calgary Flames picked up Wes Walz was his versatility. He can play all three forward positions. Zalapsky with a long shot that almost fooled McLean. McCarthy bangs away at the side of the net with Lafayette. McCarthy, the bigger, stronger man, in position for a shot. It's blocked. McCarthy continues to battle. Boy, the Canucks right now are really having problems getting out of their own zone.
Well, this looks like the first period. It's just guys have changed the color of their sweater.
Now it's Babbage who will skate it to safety. He moves it ahead. Lafayette's long shot is steered to the corner. He goes after it behind the goal for Courtnall at center. He scores! Charbonneau!
Amazing how fast things can change. Calgary has dominated the first 8 minutes of the second period. And the play that is reminiscent of a goal that Fleury got in Game 4. Where Charbonneau comes in, he's not stationary in front of the net. When you're moving, it's much, much more difficult to cover you. And a perfect pass from Courtnall to the area that Charbonneau is attacking makes it virtually impossible to cover the Canuck forward. And Charbonneau gets his first goal and a fish. And a different one, I'm sure, than was on the ice in Game 4.
I hope so.
It's picked up by Ray Scapanello.
And Pep, you're the fellow who is certainly aware of the type of fish that would be.
Yeah.
Was that a steelhead or a salmon?
That's a dead fish, Don. You can tell if they're flipping around, they're alive, but when they yell or lie still like that, they could be dead.
I don't think anybody's going to take a chance in throwing that one on a barbecue.
Well, you never know, it was iced.
Charbonneau with his first of the playoffs after the Flames had applied all the pressure in Vancouver. Has a 2-1 lead. Lume working in, he shoots and Vernon makes the save. Lume again, flipping it back to the net. Penalty coming up against Calgary, loose in front of the net. And as it's flipped to the boards, the whistle goes, and the Vancouver Canucks will have a power play. Charbonneau from Courtnall and Lafayette moving Vancouver in front by a 2-1 margin. And are they whooping and hollering here at the Pacific Coliseum?
Well, I'm not sure that it's quite as loud as it is at the Chicago Stadium when it's giving the building that has held its last game in its long history a real challenge tonight. This crowd is making a heck of an effort at keeping the Canucks up and keeping the momentum that they have just stolen back from the Calgary Flames.
Al McInnes draws a hooking infraction, 7:30 into the second period.
Joe Charbonneau, the assist to number 14, Jeff Courtnall.
Now conditioning starts to play a factor in these games as the series wear on. The New York Rangers have got one of the best conditions teams in the league. This morning, in fact, they were out riding the bike, waiting for their practice to start. They've had lots of time to rest, and with no injuries, they're continuing to keep the condition up, so in long games, they have an edge.
Adams was knocked down as he tried to deflect the shot from the point by Brown. Bure has it. To Brown. Brown had to tee it up. Back to Bure. There's the shot. It's wide. Lume at the other point has it. Over to Brown, back to Lume. Lume to Brown. Brown fakes. Over to Lume. Lume looks back to Brown. Brown for Bure. Back to the point to Brown. Over to Lume. To Brown. Brown shoots through traffic. The save is made by Vernon, and Fleury clears.
What a good example of referees calling penalties in the crease. You can clearly see that players are giving the goaltender his crease. They're close, but when you call it and players know you're going to call it, all of a sudden they take you for real and they respect the rule. It'd be nice if some other rules were dealt with in exactly the same way in this league.
Linden comes in with Adams. Linden looks for someone to give it to. He may shoot it himself. Now he goes back to the point. It's deflected away from him by Sullivan, who read the play perfectly. But before he could get to it, McLean was ready to come out of his net.
Well, Sullivan, the fastest skater on the San Jose Sharks last year, was looking for a little bit more oxygen in his legs. After a long shift, he was out of gas and didn't have the jump to take advantage.
With some jump is Bure moving in, and Bure is checked as he tried to cut in front by Zalapski. Now Titov gets the puck free to Fleury. 22 seconds remaining in the penalty. Fleury trying to move into position for a shot. He gets one away. It's knocked down in front of the net. And now Ronnie flips it ahead to Courtnall. Courtnall to an open wing. Brown is there, and he'll hammer it into the zone, and then he takes a big hit from Zalapski. Courtnall to Jelena behind the net for running a wraparound try, and Vernon protected the short side. Now McInnes is out of the penalty box as he and Dahl go to the attack. Dahl can't get to the corner, and there's a penalty call coming up here against Vancouver with 10:16 remaining in the second period, and the Canucks ahead by a goal.
Himself in the penalty box. It's 2 minutes for hooking Titov to the boards. Bure takes a big hit here on Zalapski. Almost loses his lid. Once again, Zalapski with the ability, the quickness, and the speed to get on top of Bure and do his job effectively.
Lume takes his time before firing at the length of the ice. McInnes and Kesmer are back on the points for Calgary. Kesmer takes the pass down the left side. Into the slot. Reichel couldn't shoot it. He was checked by Hunter. Hunter moves it ahead to McIntyre, and McIntyre works slowly out to center ice and then banks it off the boards back into Calgary territory.
Well, Tim Hunter with a cagey move on Robert Reichel, put his stick on Reichel's hands, applied some pressure, and Reichel couldn't get a hold of the puck.
Pass to Nieuwendyk is offside. Well, the #1 fan of the Calgary Flames is watching tonight's game in Guelph, Ontario, Michael Breton, a young man who was at the training camp of the Flames. Dave King is wearing a lapel pin that 11-year-old Michael sent to him. The Make-A-Wish Foundation took Michael to the Calgary training camp, and he was on the ice on occasion with Dave King and the coaching staff, even passing pucks to players at various times during their workouts, and he has attended games that the Calgary Flames have played in Toronto. And as Dave King said, young Michael is without question our #1 fan.
Well, he's been on the bench as well, Don, and the Flames have invited him back for next year's training camp as well.
Walls goes to the corner, to the point, to Zalapski. Zalapski plays it into Kissio. Kissio looking at the side of the net for Walls. Back to Kissio. Kissio, Zalapski. Zalapski's shot a weak when he broke his stick in the process. And the Vancouver Canucks are able to clear with 48 seconds remaining in the penalty to Cliff Ronnie. Zalapski flips it to the wing. Kissio has it. Kissio checked there by Didick. Walls gets the puck to McInnes. McInnes can't shoot. Has to give it to Walls. Walls will let the shot go. Blocked by Didick, and then Didick is able to clear.
Gerald Didick standing his ground. The Vancouver box challenging Calgary to find an opening, putting pressure on the power play that hasn't been real effective.
Here comes Nieuwendyk for Roberts, and Roberts couldn't control it. And Roberts went crashing into the net, took the net off its supports, and he appears to be in pain. He has been playing injured. He is wearing the protective collar because of a nerve injury in the neck and in the shoulder. And as he went driving for the goal, the puck took a bounce just as he attempted to put a stick on it. and he couldn't do anything but go crashing into goaltender Kirk McLean and the net. Now in game 2, Gary Roberts drew 4 minor penalties, 2 for charging McLean and 2 for goaltender interference, but there's no question he couldn't avoid contact on this play.
Well, I thought McLean had a great comment after game 2. He said, Gary Roberts was into me, kept running into me. I wondered how long it would take him to stop after he got 3 or 4 penalties. These guys are great buddies in the summer. Kirk McLean, his wife is from Whitby. Roberts and their wives spend time in the summer, and they just love the challenge, the competition, whether it's on the ice, on the golf course, or anything else they do. Roberts told me before this game, he said, you know, it's not a lot of fun right now. He said, I'm so doggone sore, I can't get my equipment to fit right. Everything I do makes it hurt. He's not a real fluid skater to begin with, and if you notice, he's turning everything from the torso. Think about driving your car and not being able to check your rear view mirror without turning your entire body around. That's the way Roberts has had to play every shift since he was injured.
I don't think he has a great deal of strength in his right arm and can't shoot the puck the way he wants. Ronning is back on the ice. Vancouver at full strength. Titov takes it in deep. He's met by a couple of Flames. One of them, Cliff Ronning, just out of the penalty box. Titov persists. Cruz trying to move out, gets it to the point for Patrick. Patrick's long shot through traffic, and it's a good thing for Vancouver it was wide of the net because McLean never saw it. Yanni is in deep. Yanni in the corner circling. And finally, Hedeken is able to flip it out, and then it's driven back in, and it almost hit Paul Cruz, who was heading to the bench for Calgary on a change. Hedeken's pass beyond the reach of Ronning, and this will be an icing call against the Canucks with 7:22 remaining in the second. Left of McLean. Nieuwendyk into the face-off circle against Lafayette. They tie each other up as the puck goes back to the goal. Lume leaves it there for Merzen. Merzen ahead for Courtnall. Courtnall has some steam. Courtnall in across the line, tried to get it over for Charbonneau, and it was broken up, and Musil starts back. He feeds Stern. Stern looks for the front of the net. Nieuwendyk was going for the goal, but the pass was up high. Good end-to-end action as Vancouver comes back. Courtnall with Lume going for the goal, and Al McInnes cut that pass off. Nieuwendyk for Stern. Merzen read it, cut it off. Charbonneau for Courtnall. Courtnall tried to kick it ahead for Lafayette, and it was broken up by the Flames, but driven right back in by Diduck. 6:30 remaining in the second period. 2-1, Vancouver leads Calgary. Memesso flipped it high. Diduck had to vacate the zone, and that gave Musil some time to get out. Jelena tried to steal. Musil cut it off. Jelena is in forechecking. Moved ahead to McCarthy. Diduck is knocked down. Memesso coming back to help out. Steals the puck. Jelena can't handle it as it deflects off his stick and into the Calgary bench. 5:59 remaining in the second. The Canucks nursing a 1-goal lead.
We want to make it perfectly clear. You'll find guaranteed low prices at your Canadian Tire store every day. If you find a better price anywhere, we'll match it. Guaranteed.
Well, with the Maple Leafs knocking off the Chicago Blackhawks in the noisiest building in the league, the final time that a game will be played there, with the Chicago Blackhawks moving into their new United Center next year, the noise level here at the Pacific Coliseum might rank as the highest in the league, the way these fans have exploded tonight. It's not always the case, but with the performance of the Canucks in this 6th game of the quarterfinal series, these fans are very vocal. Ronning with a shot, rebound in front of the net. Memesso couldn't get a stick on it. Ronning has it again. Ronning tried to flip it back to the point. It was chipped past him by Kissio, and there's going to be a penalty. Brown is going to get the penalty as the puck was knocked past him at the point.
Well, as Brown goes to the penalty box, we look at Martin Gellin, number 23. Now, he's got something in common with a former Canuck and Flame, Paul Reinhardt. What you're looking at here is the hyperbaric chamber, and what it is a system that's been used by the Vancouver Canucks, the only team in the National Hockey League, to help players recover from injury. The idea is that you increase the pressure inside this machine. You slide right into it, wear a mask as well, and with a slightly increased pressure and a higher percentage of oxygen, the injuries tend to recover faster. Now, Jelena was injured against the Los Angeles Kings, and the prognosis was that he would be out 4 to 6 weeks, but with the use of this chamber, that time was cut down considerably to the order of a couple of weeks. So Vancouver's seen some great results thanks to the involvement of the machine and a former Flame and Canuck, Paul Reinhardt.
I don't think you'd want to be claustrophobic, though, getting into that chamber. McInnes.
It would depend on whether you'd be afraid of tight spaces or not, Don.
Hunter is able to clear. McInnes trying to set something up for Fleury. Fleury dodges a check. Fleury moving in. He shoots. It's blocked before it gets to the net. Reichel throws it in front. Nobody there. Fleury back to the point. Zalapsky, long shot. Blocked by Lumek. McInnes tried to keep it in and did, but it's hammered down the ice by Dana Merzen.
Well, we talked about desperation hockey at the start of this hockey game, and as the second period winds down, you see more and more of it.
Nieuwendyk in front of the net, had it bounce over his stick. McInnes has it. Over to Zalapsky. Zalapsky can't shoot as he's checked there by Linden. Fleury tried to get it back to the point. It was broken up by Linden, and then Courtnall clears.
Well, Linden with great position. If you're going to pass through the box, you either have to make a perfect pass or find a seam where there's not a stick. Linden got his stick on Fleury's pass with good hand-eye and killed 30 seconds as a result.
Titov in the corner is checked, and Linden can clear. 30 seconds remaining in the penalty.
Once again, Trevor Linden on top of the puck. You really have to make the right decisions when you've got an opportunity to go to the puck. If you go outside and you're a forward and it's the wrong decision, all of a sudden you're out of position. You only go if you're 100% sure you're going to get the puck. And if you think you're 100% sure and you don't get it, the coach has a word with you when you get back to the bench.
Linden again clears to an appreciative response from the crowd at the Pacific Coliseum. Now Walls has it in the corner. 3 seconds left in the penalty. Kesmer can't get a shot away. Penalized player Brown is back in the ice. Puck loose in front of the net. Flipped high over top of the goal by Reichel. Walls has his pass knocked down by Adams. Brown starts back for Bure, and Kesmer was able to put a stick on it, resulting in an offside play. 2:53, the time remaining in the second period. A big day for Canada at the World Championships. A third straight victory. Brendan Shanahan, a late addition from the St. Louis Blues, all 3 goals as Canada won its third straight 3-2 over Germany. Sweden and the United States also winners today in Italy.
Well, Greg Adams hasn't done as much scoring as he would like. Watch him sneak it behind here. Reichel collapses to the middle, and just as the puck comes, he hits Reichel on the top of his top hand. When you do that, distract the player from shooting. He did exactly what he set out to do.
And I think Stewart has called a bench minor. Or has he? But he was motioning to Dave King. No, I guess he's not. I apologize. I thought for a moment that he had called a penalty. King was upset about something, and Stewart, I thought, had indicated that he was going to call a penalty, but obviously not.
Well, they were having a discussion, as Paul Stewart says. He loves to have discussions, but with him, they tend to be one way when they're on the ice anyways.
No icing as McLean is forced to make the save. Pass from Jelena is too far for Ronning in the corner. Jelena checks Kissio. It goes back of the net. Ronning is cut off by Yanni. Memesso has it. Memesso circles. Jelena knocked down at the side of the net by Kesmer. The two continue to battle. Memesso can't get out from the corner. Again, Yanni has Ronning tied up. Brown back at the point, lets the shot go. It hits Memesso in front of the net, and McCarthy brings it out for Calgary. McCarthy, a shot off the stick of Brown, wide of the goal. Hedican ties his man up in the corner. McCarthy frees the puck to the point for Musil, over to McInnes. Long shot wide. McCarthy checked in the corner by Brown. Brown moves it ahead for Courtnall. Courtnall rink wide. Brown is spun around at the line by McInnes. There's a penalty call. Tripping, says Paul Stewart. 1:27 remaining in the period. To tell us about our second intermission, here's Ken Daniels.
All right, Don, and coming up, Flames defenseman Frank Musil, a man who was acquired in 1990 for Brian Glynn, who is now a Vancouver Canuck. As well, we'll have highlights from Detroit, the Wings win over the Sharks, and a post-game report from Chicago, where the Leafs have moved on after blanking the Hawks tonight 1-0.
Well, Al McInnes gets caught for tripping up Jeff Brown. Brown with good lateral movement across the blue line as McInnes came across right here. A quick step to the left forced McInnes to put his stick between Brown's legs. And that's a penalty that as a player, if you're an official, you have a better opportunity of calling. Stewart was way over in the corner, but when he sees that stick go out, he knows that McInnes is outside of the rules. Brown went down, and McInnes went to the penalty box.
Our television position at the Pacific Coliseum, one of two press boxes at the Pacific Coliseum. The majority of the media work from upstairs.
Well, former Flame and former Canuck, now PR director for the Vancouver Canucks, Steve Tambellini, told me that this was the VIP box, Don.
Well, we are VIPs, aren't we, Jim? Lume with a shot that is steered wide. Murray has it in the corner. Now it's Lume again. Lume over to Linden. Linden back to Lume. He has Brown out there in the point with him. Lume takes a return pass. He can't shoot against Fleury. Has to give it to Brown. Brown tried to go rink wide for Linden. It was broken up by Fleury as we move into the final minute of the second period.
Well, Brown tried a low percentage play, but I think it was worth it. Tried to put it between the legs of Sullivan. If he had have done that, he had a partner across the ice that would have been wide open.
Brown fires it to the corner. Zalapsky attempts to clear. He can't. Lume, cross ice for Bure. It bounces off his stick. And now Roberts picks it up along the boards. He comes up with Titov. Titov's shot steered to the corner. Roberts has it. Roberts trying to work out with Titov. Yanni jumped up into the slot, but Titov didn't see him and couldn't get the puck to him. 10 seconds remaining in the period. Remember, the Flames scored their goal with 0.3 of a second remaining in the first period. Back at the line, Patrick gets set. He fires it wide as the horn sounds to end the period. Lume and Titov now in the corner. Get the gloves in each other's face, but very quickly, the two linesmen, Asseltine and Scapinello, intervene.
Now, Calgary has a history of playing a very, very strong third period. Vancouver found a way after some great pressure in this second period to storm down and get a goal on Mike Vernon. We'll see if Vancouver can overcome the dominance the Flames have had here at the PNE in the third period of Game 6.
Calgary had an 8-7 edge in shots on goal in the second period, but the Vancouver Canucks came up with the lone goal by Joe Charbonneau. And after 2 periods of play in Game 6 of this Western quarterfinal series, Vancouver leads 2-1.
Thanks, boy, I needed that.
Back to the Pacific Coliseum, where after 40 minutes, Joe Charbonneau has put the Vancouver Canucks in front of the Calgary Flames by 1 goal. Joining me now in our second period intermission, a man who's been with the Calgary Flames now for 4 seasons, Frank Musil. And Frank, first off, your thoughts on the game tonight?
Well, Vancouver's been playing real well last couple of games. They play like a very desperate hockey game, and they play like they have nothing to lose, where we have to find more energy to get in front of the net and create more offensive chances.
Do you find it sometimes a lift because the Saddle Dome's so quiet, you come into this building and the crowd's so loud? Does it help you play here?
Well, it definitely is, but also it takes the pressure off us. We seem to play better on the road rather than the Saddle Dome, so it's one of the things that get you going.
Now, you face a guy like Pavel Bure here and a guy like Sergei Fedorov during the regular season. You were on the World Champions '85 Czechoslovakian team. How much does international experience help you in the NHL?
Well, it sure helps because you know these guys you've played against them, especially the older guys, not Pavel because he's too young, but a lot of guys from Europe, you know what their favorite moves are and stuff, so it's a little easier to play them, but then we have a certain game plan we go by, and in this particular game, we have, Mike Sullivan follow Paul Bure, so we don't have to really worry about him that much.
Now, you've had an interesting off seasons in the past. You've been a used car salesman. Jim Poplinski, who's in the car business, likes to call them formerly owned. How did you end up doing that?
Well, I guess it's just the background of coming from, communist country. The things were so much harder to get, and coming over from communist country, all of a sudden I was making a lot of money and I had everything I wanted. So I wanted to just find out what the other world is like, and believe me, it's tough. So I'm glad I'm sticking to hockey.
Well, during the off season, you also stick to moving meat around. You work in a meat packing plant. What's that like?
Well, I was real fortunate when in Minnesota I got hooked up with Cargill Foods, and I worked for them. And then after getting traded or being traded to Calgary, I was fortunate enough that there was a meatpacking plant in High River, Alberta, and I went down there, and they were very happy to have me on the board, and I was excited to learn the other side of the world, business world, and it's just a new experience every day for me.
And it keeps you in great shape, too, so that's not bad.
Well, you
for
bet.
hockey. Frank, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Still to come during our second period intermission, we'll have highlights from the Red Wings and the San Jose Sharks, as well from Chicago, a post-game report from Ron McLean as the Leafs ousted the Blackhawks. More in a moment. Charbonneau have scored for the Canucks, Gary Roberts for the Flames. After 40 minutes, it's Vancouver leading Calgary by a score of 2-1. Meantime, at Chicago Stadium tonight, there was just one goal scored, that from Mike Gardner. It was enough for the Leafs to oust the Hawks. With more on the final game at the stadium and a Leafs win, here's Ron McLean.
Ken, it was a stirring scene. This is about 10, 11 minutes after the buzzer went at Chicago Stadium, maybe even more than that. Fans hated to leave on the final night for hockey at this glorious arena, 65 years proud. When they opened Maple Leaf Gardens in 1931, the Hawks were the visitors and spoiled the party, winning 2-1, and the Leafs returned the favor this many years later with a classic old-style victory, 1-0. Jamie McCown and Sylvain Lefebvre, Leaf defenders, were dynamite tonight. Sylvain, the #2 star, congratulations on winning the series in 6 and winning it on the road in this building, which hasn't always been easy. How did it feel?
No, it feels great, especially winning in 6. We didn't want to take the chance to go in 7 games. We know what happened last year, and it feels great to win the last game in the stadium, and just put it in the book. And it feels good too to get a few days off, and guys like Doug Gilmour needs them.
Yeah, it's very important. How bad was his foot?
Well, it was pretty bad. He had to get it freeze, and he's got a lot of heart, and he's heart and soul with the team too. And he showed a lot of character tonight, and guys like that, we need him.
3 shutouts in these playoffs against Chicago is really a tribute to Felix and the defenseman. Tell me about getting the one this evening, because you were outshot about 2-1, but how did the game feel to you?
Well, we wanted to get the line changes, the matchups with Roenick, and I think it slowed the game down right at the start. And we wanted to get a good start, and Felix made some great saves, and he really stood up for us. And that's what makes a team. We won as a team.
As far as the Roenick, Amonte, Murphy line, what made them tough to play against?
Well, they have a lot of speed, and guys like Jeremy Roenick, he's good one-on-ones, and you don't want to get beat one-on-one, especially at your blue line, and you want to stand up the blue line as much as possible. And most of the time, they try to carry the puck in, and they don't want to dump it in, but you try to stand them up and finish your checks, and it pays off at the end of the games. If you finish your checks against Roenick, Chelios, Suter, and Amonte, it's going to pay off along the run.
Well, make sure you have a look around the building as you leave tonight, Sylvain, because you were a part of history this evening. Good luck in the next round.
Thanks a lot.
Sylvain Lefebvre, Toronto Maple Leaf rear guard, the 2nd star in tonight's 1-0 victory for the Maple Leafs. And the last 5 seconds, that's Felix with his hands in the air. The puck stays in, though, and he really had to regroup, and the shot, as you see, is blocked by Dave Ellett. Ellett out with Lefebvre here because McCowan was in the box, but a tremendous finish for Toronto to come into Chicago and win it with the shutout victory. And they'll move on the strength of a 4-2 series win, Ken.
All right, Ron, thank you. At 27-18, Chicago outshot the Leafs. The Leafs win 5 one-goal games, and the Leafs win in 6 finally. Took 7 for all their series last year. Mike Gardner, the only goal, and Felix Potvin, his third 1-0 shutout. The Leafs move on. Meantime, San Jose at Detroit tonight, Joe Louis Arena. Chris Osgood in goal for the Wings. The Wings needing a win to stay alive. Scott Bowman hopes his big guns will start firing, and they do. What a big first period for Detroit. Just 2:03 in. Sergei Fedorov will beat Artur Zerbe 1-0. That shot from the slot. Fedorov left with a knee injury but did return later. Then on a power play, Steve Chason's point shot finds the mark, beating Zerbe. The Wings out in front 2-0, which becomes 3-0 when the Sharks can't clear, and Ray Shepherd nets his second playoff goal from out in front. And to round out the first, Vyacheslav Kozlov scores his first. 4-0 Detroit after 3 goals in under 2 minutes of play. The fans at Joe Louis Arena love it. The final 7-1. Detroit beating San Jose. Game 7 Saturday at JLA. 2-1 Vancouver after 2. Third period action is next from the Pacific Coliseum.
On the power play, still 33 seconds remaining in a penalty to Al McInnes. The only goal of the second period, Joe Charbonneau's first of the postseason, set up by Jeff Courtnall.
Oh, you get in the transition from a forward watching his check to dropping him off to the defenseman. Courtnall lays the pass out. Charbonneau takes advantage of that transitional period and scores a go-ahead goal, and it's a big one. McInnes with 33 seconds remaining in his tripping penalty on Jeff Brown.
Brown forced in his own zone by Sullivan. Lume has to take it back of the net before moving it ahead to Brown, and very quickly Sullivan scoots over there. Now rink wide for Linden. Linden to the trailer. Brown waits, tried to flip it in. It deflects off Sullivan's stick high up into the crowd.
Well, let's run through some of the key facts for the second period. Face-offs just about as even as the game. Right down the middle. No one player is dominating another. And team to team, they're 50-50 as well. McInnes' ice time dropping off substantially from the first to the second period. Everyone else stayed pretty much the same. From a physical point of view as well, Calgary and Vancouver have had about the same number of hits.
Off the end boards. Musso got there just ahead of Jelena on the shoot-in by Lume.
And as I was saying, the hits very, very close. 17-12 over 2 periods in favor of Vancouver. The second period, bone crushers were pretty much the same. If you look at shots, it's interesting to note that the 40 goal scorers for the Calgary Flames have only combined for a few shots. Roberts with a couple in the first period. He was blanked in period number 2. Fleury without a shot so far in this game. Of course, he did shoot the puck that Roberts deflected into the net. Nieuwendyk with only 1 shot. Bure still only has 1 shot. He was blanked in period number 2, so not a whole pile of shots from the offensive threats for both teams. 17 for the Canucks, 13 for the Flames over 40 minutes of play.
Well, you said in game 4 of this series that many times it's the guys in the third and fourth line who play a key role in the first round of the playoffs, and I think we've been seeing that in this series between the Canucks and the Flames.
Now some big hits in games 3 and 4 from guys like Stern and Cruz. Defensemen for the Canucks have been key. Memesso and Toski. A lot of the big, strong players have made a difference in this game, and a big check by Babic.
He hit Musil and sent him flying. Lafayette couldn't stick handle past Roberts. Then Roberts is checked as Lafayette collides with Courtnall. Now Lafayette has it again. He tried to bank it off the boards for Courtnall, and Courtnall was taken in against the glass by Al McInnes. Roberts is bumped by Charbonneau as the puck is flipped down the ice. 18:35 remaining in the third period.
Tomorrow night, coast to coast, game 7. The Montreal Canadiens at the Boston Garden. We'll have that game for you, 7:30 Eastern. Then Saturday night, if necessary, game 7 of this series, Vancouver at Calgary, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific time.
Gary Roberts, who cringes every time he has to move his head to take a look around. It's crunched by Charbonneau, and then goes for a change.
Didick trying to move it past Zalapski. Momesso races in. He's checked. Back comes Nieuwendyk. Nieuwendyk shoots. That's only his 4th shot of the playoffs, his 2nd of this game. Nieuwendyk coming into this game had 2 shots on goal and 2 goals.
Well, Nieuwendyk scored 36 goals in the regular season. He missed 20 games with a knee injury. When Calgary needed a big goal, they looked to this guy through the 64 games that he played. Game-tying goals, game-winning goals. He was big in most situations for Calgary when they needed him. Watch Babbage here now as he gets turned, and when Nieuwendyk takes the shot, he knows McLean will look after everything else, so he stays with the big Calgary winger. Babbage playing Nieuwendyk well, and Nieuwendyk fighting his way to the net.
Hedeken has played very well for the Canucks in this series, and the defenseman, who has gone now 132 games without a goal, leads the rush, but Bure is the player, lets the shot go. Bure had it blocked by Zalapski, and Zalapski moved up very quickly to the point to cover Bure. Now it's Linden. Linden trying to work in. He's spun around, and Vernon covers the loose puck. Trevor Linden, the current Iron Man in the National Hockey League, 328 consecutive games without missing.
Well, and you look at some of the records. Gary Unger well over 900. Doug Jarvis snuck up on that record as well, as we see Linden busting through to the net. It takes 2 guys to pull him down. Remember, Zalapski was just out on the point watching Bure. He's a tremendous skater. He got back to watch the Canucks captain and prevent him from getting through to the Flames goaltender Vernon.
He has equaled the franchise record for career games established by Harold Snepts with his 44th postseason appearance tonight for the Vancouver Canucks.
Harold Snepts, a great defenseman for Vancouver, was key in the Canucks' run to the finals against the New York Islanders in 1982. That was the same year that Snepts and the general manager of the Calgary Flames, Doug Risebrough, got into a fight underneath the stands.
Should I ask who won?
Well, it was pretty even, but Risebrough said he was quite surprised when he came around the corner. Snepts was right there. The thing that got him going, got Snepts going that is, was a conversation that Risebrough had when he said, "Snepsy, we want you on the ice. Don't get thrown out." It proceeded under the stands, and it was a beauty.
Thanks. Boy, I needed that.
Make it tough on themselves when they're up 3-2 in a series. They have not lost, but 4 times the series has gone to a 7th game.
Well, it's nice to have statistics in your favor, but the statistics for individual teams, I believe, don't carry a whole lot of weight because the players change so much. There's a half a dozen players from the Flames that were playing against Vancouver in '89, only 3 from the Canucks over the National Hockey League. Statistics, I think, have some significance when you look at first games and things of the sort and how players and teams fare in those competitions.
Dana Merzen tried to cut off the clearing attempt. Wes Walz picks up the puck. Nieuwendyk directs a long shot to the corner. Back after it goes Martin Jelena. Jelena is cut off by Stern. Ronning has the puck. Ronning puts on the brakes, looks, goes cross ice. LeMay moving in, couldn't get a shot against McInnes. Momesso races after the loose puck behind the net. Out front, Ronning centering for Jelena. It was beyond his reach. Nieuwendyk brings it back. He flips it to the corner. Walz bumps Momesso off the puck. It's fired wide by McInnes. Zalapski, a shot to traffic. He scores! It may have been redirected in front by Wes Walz, but this game is tied at 2.
Don, the simple plays are the ones that make the difference. Now, when we look at this replay, an innocent play happens from Joe Nieuwendyk. He dumps this puck in, and you think, well, what's the big deal? But that is what generated this scoring opportunity. McInnes with the shot, and then another shot from the point, and Walz is left alone all in front. We mentioned this guy's soft hands. He's not unlike Nieuwendyk. You get him high in the slot here, and he is great at deflecting them. A little bit of mustard taken off of that shot from the point, and Walz with a perfect deflection ties this hockey game 16-36 remains in the third period, and that wouldn't surprise me if this is not the last period of this hockey game.
Wes Walz, a Calgary native, with his third playoff goal. And this game is tied at 2.
You think back to the open net that Walz had and the replay that we had of him looking against the glass, and I'm sure he was saying to himself, give me another chance and I won't miss it. Well, he didn't miss, and all of a sudden a big goal by Flame Walz to even this game.
Roberts drops it for Reichel. His shot is up high on McLean, and with Fleury right in the crease, McLean has to hang on, and now Didick and Roberts engage in a pushing and shoving match with 16:04 remaining in the third period. And at this time, we say hello to viewers in Manitoba who have just joined our telecast from the Pacific Coliseum of this quarterfinal series in the Western Conference. Calgary and Vancouver deadlocked at 2. Wes Walz has just evened the score at 3:24 of the third period, deflecting the shot from the point by Zarley Zalapski. Al McInnes also drew an assist, and for Wes Walz, his third playoff goal.
Nieuwendyk dumps the puck in, something that Calgary did not do a lot of in the first period. Vancouver, to their credit, has played 2 periods and the first 4 minutes of the third in the same fashion. They've been making the simple plays. Calgary hasn't been quite as consistent, but they were on that play, and all of a sudden, this hockey game is even. Paul Stewart with a big grin. He was adjusting a knee brace a little bit earlier, and that's from, in part, 74 games he played in the National Hockey League for the Quebec Nordique.
Kevin Dahl's shoot-in ricochets around the boards. Out front for Fleury. Quick shot, and McLean reacts with Roberts driving to the goal. Charbonneau gets it out to center for Courtnall. Courtnall is checked by Dahl. Big collision in front of the bench as Lafayette bumped with Fleury and went down. And just prior to that, I think Paul Stewart was calling a penalty. And it appears to be against Jeff Courtnall.
Courtnall will get the elbowing penalty. Don, remember what we talked about, the conversation we had outside the hotel with Paul Stewart. Courtnall gets the elbow up. Stewart said, Pep, they can do whatever they want as long as they stay on the ice, keep their sticks and the elbows down. I'm going to let them take it to each other. Courtnall mustn't have heard the start of the telecast. He got the elbow up, and Stewart had his arm up immediately to assess the hero of Game 5 and the instigator of the go-ahead goal for the Vancouver Canucks, Courtnall, an elbowing penalty, and that gives Calgary a 2-minute power play opportunity.
And Courtnall has also been the most penalized player in this series. 32 minutes coming into tonight's game.
Well, conditioning once again a factor. As the series becomes longer and the games stretch on, more and more lactic acid builds up in the players' legs. You get that burning feeling that you do after a long run down the ski slopes or a long walk up the hill from the 18th hole.
At the side of the net, Nieuwendyk to Kesmer, over to McInnes. McInnes shoots, and that is deflected by McIntyre. Now McIntyre gains control. He starts away with Tim Hunter. Didick also moving up. McIntyre circles to kill off some time, puts it back to the net. Hunter is there with Kesmer. Hunter trying to free himself, and then he's knocked down by McInnes, and there's going to be a penalty.
Hunter and McIntyre doing a great job killing penalties. Well, McIntyre ragged the puck a little bit, and then he dumped it deep. These guys have obviously killed a lot of penalties together because Hunter was already down in the Flames zone. Now Kesmer and McInnes team up on Hunter here. Hunter doing a good job in trying to get away. McInnes takes the body on Hunter, and Hunter, who normally is the brunt of a lot of other penalty calls, is pleading for a penalty. And Paul Stewart gives an interference call to Dan Kesmer.
1:19 remaining in the penalty to Jeff Courtnall. And then the Vancouver Canucks will have a power play.
Well, whether you agree with the call or not, you're better not to give the referee an opportunity to make a decision. Don't even allow him a choice. Kesmer should have found a way to let go of Hunter. If McGinnis had picked up the puck, no call would have been made.
Lume had to skate back to center ice as he had difficulties controlling the puck at the blue line. Linesman Ray Scapanello had his arm up, and Lume was aware that the puck just barely came out across the line. Nieuwendyk moves it ahead. Patrick to Zalapski, shoots. McLean got a piece of it. They tried to feed it back to the point, but it was beyond the reach of Patrick. He's watched as he goes back by the captain, Linden. Now it's Roberts redirecting to Fleury. Fleury getting set, trying to go to his backhand. Checked by Babbage. The puck goes to the corner. Fleury has it again. Roberts goes to the goal. Fleury back to the line to McInnes. McInnes winds and it deflects off Hedican. Penalty coming up as Zalapski was knocked down in front of the net, and Hedican will go to the box.
Lazy penalty here. Stewart has great position on it. Pat Quinn's not happy with the call, probably because he knows that Hedican should have taken one more step and that hook wouldn't have been necessary.
Now McInnes has it at the point. He can't shoot it. Yanni gets it back to McInnes. Over to Yanni. Yanni with traffic in front takes a look. Moves in. Now lets it go. It's blocked by Lume. Yanni gets it again. Over to McInnes. McInnes winds up and fires wide, and it ricochets all the way down the ice as Courtnall comes out of the penalty box. In 37 seconds, the Flames will have a power play. Diddick cuts off a pass. He had problems controlling it against Fleury. Gets it to Courtnall. Courtnall tied up along the boards. Ronning grabs the puck. He's checked by Roberts. Left in the corner for McInnes. Roberts couldn't control it. Babbage goes back to retrieve for Vancouver. McInnes trying to send Fleury on his way. Again, Babbage breaks it up. And now Calgary has a power play as Kesmer comes on the ice and Zalapski goes back of the net. 12:56 remaining in the third. The game is tied at 2. Wes Walz, the man who tied it, can't control the puck and it's fired down the ice. 40 seconds remaining in the penalty. Here comes Zalapski. He dodges a check, then loses it to McIntyre. McIntyre feathers it back in his own zone to Brown. He clears. Here comes Zalapski with Nieuwendyk. Zalapski got to the line, but Nieuwendyk was ahead of the play.
Well, Wes Walz loves to come to Vancouver, particularly when it's playoff time. Take a look at these goals. All 3 have been scored here in Vancouver, and he's quick off the mark in the third period. If this guy comes to Vancouver in the playoffs again, I wonder if somebody won't be watching him for the first 5 minutes or so of any third period he plays. Boy, has he scored some big goals, timely ones for Calgary when they've needed them, all here in Vancouver.
Well, his first goal of the series opened the scoring for Calgary in Game 3. In Game 4, he tied it, and in Game 6, he has tied it. Dave King liked Walz when he was with the Boston Bruins. King was then with the national team and wanted Walz for the 1992 Olympic Games, but the Boston Bruins refused to let him go. And then when he became a free agent this summer, King said, we need this guy on our team, and he convinced other members of the Calgary coaching staff and management that they should claim him as a free agent.
There's 3 good reasons right now why they picked Walz up.
McIntyre for Hunter. He dumps it to the corner, and Hedican is back in the ice. Vancouver is at full strength. Dana Merzen tried to hammer it off the boards. He couldn't clear. Titov couldn't do anything with it. Courtnall starts away. He has Charbonneau and Lafayette racing up. Courtnall drives it back to the goal. Brown comes in. Brown getting set, shoots up high on Vernon, and he holds it for a face-off.
I I think Paul Stewart has assessed another penalty here after Brown's sharp angle shot. Trent Yanni is getting 2 for interference. And the crowd voices their approval at that call.
An interference penalty against Trent Yanni, so after killing off a penalty, the Vancouver Canucks now have a man advantage.
Well, Yanni has had a strong game for Calgary tonight, taking the body, making sure Vancouver stays to the outside. The Canucks experiencing some problems on their power play, not unlike the Flames. Only 1 shot on average per extra man opportunity tonight. Only 4 for 34 in the series. But as we've discussed, when your power play is awful and it goes both ways, that means your penalty killing has been great. Both teams can brag about superior penalty killing and lament the lack of effectiveness that their power play has had over this entire series. Calgary, with the exception of the second game going into this game, was the only game they had put numbers up on the board with their power play.
Fleury was able to win the draw. The puck now comes back to the point to Brown. Murray lets it go around to Jelena. Jelena checked by Dahl. It comes back to Looney. Over to Brown. Moving in. Brown shoots, and it's blocked by Musil. Brown gets it again. Fleury checks him along the boards, but Brown stays with it. Manages to knock it to the corner, and then Musil, trying to clear, put it over the glass out of play.
All right, we're going to do a little instructional video here, Don. Here's an example of how you do a perfectly timed sliding stop. Musil gets the pads down just as Brown is ready to shoot, so Brown can't stop with the fake. He's already into the windup. He also protects himself by having his legs in front of the puck as opposed to sliding too late and getting his face or upper body there. And he also brought that bottom leg down so that if the puck hits the bottom leg, he kicks it out to the boards. A perfect